Welcome to a meeting of your Planning Commission, the official local planning agency for the cities of Tampa, Temple Terrace, Plant City, and unincorporated Hillsborough County. The Planning Commission provides innovative leadership and long-range vision that contributes to the creation of a thriving, prosperous community that offers opportunity, fairness, and choice in how we live, move, learn, work, and play. For more information about the Planning Commission, please call 813-272-5940. Follow us on social media or visit our website at planhillsborough.org.
Welcome to the September 12th, 2022 regular meeting of the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. To minimize feedback in the audio, all participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. That's PLANNER at plancom.org. For action items, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chair. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that introduction, I will ask Commissioner Orton to lead us in the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Would all please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today with praise for your mighty power and guidance. We thank you for this day and thank you too for the many blessings in our lives, for our great country and for the opportunity to live in freedom. We ask your blessings on our leaders and we ask that you give each one of us here today the wisdom to make the right choices so that our decisions will be in the best interest of the people of Hillsborough County. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Orton. All right. Next, I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and call roll, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Bernstein? Buzza?
Here.
Cardenas?
Here.
Fernandez?
Here.
Handy?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Lauk? Powell?
Here.
Saria?
Here.
Orton?
Here.
Rodriguez?
Here.
Chair Joseph?
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right. The next item is the approval of the minutes for the following meetings. The regular meeting, August 8th, 2022. The public hearing on City Plan Amendments, August 8th, 2022. The public hearing on City of Tampa Plan Amendments, August 8th, 2022. And the public hearing on Hillsborough County Plan Amendments, August 8th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Buzza.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Powell. We have a motion approved by Commissioner Buzza, a second to that motion by Commissioner Powell. Is there any more discussion from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein? Buzza,
Yes.
Cardenas,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Kress, I did not hear a response from Commissioner Kress.
Yes.
Thank you. Powell,
Yes.
Saria, Commissioner Saria? I did not hear a response from Commissioner Saria.
He's absent.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had him down as present. My apologies. And Chair Joseph?
Yes. Can we just double check who's
Thank you.
here and absent again really quick, just to make sure for the record?
I have Commissioner Bernstein absent. I have Commissioner Lauk absent, and I now have Commissioner Saria absent.
That's correct. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Our next item up is item number 2, public input. For items not scheduled on the agenda, we have 2 individuals sign up for that, and the first is Hung Mai. Oh, turn on your mic.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, member of the board, Madam Zonita, Mr. General Counsel. My name is Hung Mai, 14031 North Del Mabry. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And today I'm in front of you not in the capacity of the Port of Tampa Bay Commissioner. I'm in the capacity just a concerned, citizen and a former planning commission. And I have the short video from the Port of Tampa Bay. And Mr. Chairman, I might exceed 3 minutes, so I would appreciate that if you can grant additional, if I run, beyond 3 minutes. And okay. I got some material to hand out to all the planning commission and to the clerk.
Okay. While you hand that out, I'll ask the commissioners if they would be okay with the video being shown. How much past 3 minutes do you think you're going to go here?
Probably a couple of minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
A minute, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
The commissioners, it's going to be up to the commissioners to decide. It's all right. Everybody see no agreement here, so we don't need an official vote or anything, do we, Tracy? Okay, yeah, okay.
Thank
Okay.
you. Can you run the video first, and then I'll pass the handout.
Thank you.
you. As you can see, the pork has at least around, 17.2 billion dollar impact to the Tampa Bay economic region, and we're directly contributing to 85,000 direct and indirect, job in the whole Tampa Bay region. And we got a container carrier, we got top, trading partner, we got, cruise ship, we got 4 cruise ship. You know, in your May 2020 industrial development, assessment, the heavy industrial land become, smaller and smaller. You continue look at the City of Tampa 2045 and, the comp plan amendment in the Hillsborough County, I would ask you to be mindful to look into somehow to keep the heavy industrial land yield and light industrial land yield, especially in the port activity center or, in the outer ring of the activity center, because that is a valuable, asset. When you downzone it, you cannot, get it back, especially, along the deep water, which is a big asset, to our industry. Now, the deep water is our big, asset, and you look into the City of Tampa, you got some development. Now, the mixed-use development is very attractive because you got residential move in to the same, yield with, commercial, retail, and things like that. But the more you get residential close to the heavy industrial, that's gonna present a problem for the industry, in the future. Given the pork is the I would ask the Planning Commission give the pork the opportunity to look at, when you do the comp plan related to the pork activity center and the area outside of the activity center, to give the pork, some heads up so that they can make, comment, because if you downzone, it's gonna be a problem, for our industry. Now, as you know, we got the tour, and then I would encourage Melissa to invite all the Planning Commission members to tour the port, and we are welcome, you there. So with that, I don't have any further, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right. Did you want to say anything, Melissa? All right. Thank you for the information. We will move on to our next speaker who had signed up for items not for action, and we have Ron Weaver.
Good afternoon, Ron Weaver, 401 East Jackson Street. And I rise on the occasion of an item that is not for public comment, but it is on your agenda for a briefing today. And I understand that Mr. Tom Hisnay is coming over, unless someone is here for Mr. Hisnay, from the county staff regarding some very important changes to the way that zoning hearing masters are and are not presented to the county commission for Tuesday land use meetings, and whether or not neighbors can raise new issues having not come to the zoning hearing master and simply raise them for the first time at the Tuesday morning land use meetings for final action upon zonings. That is on your agenda today as a briefing, not as a public hearing. Therefore, I'm speaking during public comment only to encourage you to please, and this is a good segue from Mr. Hung Mai at the port on the heads up, that you would please give landowners and developers and their teams a heads up what the neighbors object to if they don't come to the zoning hearing master. I understand the staff is contemplating for this Wednesday at 1:30 a discussion at the county commission from staff, which I'm sure Mr. Hisnay will bring to you, in an hour or two, a partial solution to the problem, which is to not allow additional written documents or evidence from the neighbors unless they send it to the county 7 business days before the Tuesday land use meeting. That is a start in the direction of the kind of heads up that a landowner and their engineer and their planner and their lawyer deserve to be able to deal with those issues. However, I would also encourage you to go at least one step further and to also require that same 7 business days before the Tuesday land use final zoning hearings, any oral comment, any new issues being brought for the first time without warning to the landowners or their engineers or their lawyers or their planners, that also be presented 7 business days before the Tuesday land use meeting, rather than being wide open that anything can come in from someone who has not come to the zoning hearing master, has not submitted written evidence within the 7 business days before, but brings oral testimony instead. And if you're being ambushed by Indians and the Indians are precluded from using flaming arrows, that's helpful. But if they're not precluded from using other arrows and poisoned arrows and tomahawks and spears, you're still being ambushed. So it's not just the written documentation 7 business days before, but the rest of the Indian arsenal. And the rest of the Indian arsenal needs to also be 7 business days before, so that you can get your cavalry ready for whatever it is. And thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you. All right, on to our next agenda item, because we did not have anyone else sign up for items not for action. Double checking. Nope, we didn't. All right, so our next agenda item is item number 3, and it begins our list of action items for the night. And first is 3A, City of Tampa 4-year 23 through 4-year 27 Capital Improvements Program and Capital Improvement Section, Schedule of Projects Update. And the presenter is Diego Guerra.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Diego Guerra, Planning Commission staff. This item is the Planning Commission's review of City of Tampa's FY23 through FY27 Capital Improvement Program and Schedule of Projects Update. This is an action item, and the resolution is provided for your vote. The review was conducted in accordance with Chapter 97-351, which requires the Planning Commission conduct an annual review of the CIP. Chapter 163 of Florida statutes requires that the schedule of projects, which is found in the city's comprehensive plan, be updated on an annual basis. The update would replace the existing schedule with the schedule found in your packets, and the update is accomplished by ordinance. As such, staff also conducted a review of the schedule of projects. The review was examined the CIP and the schedule for consistency with the city's comprehensive plan, as well as the plans of adjacent jurisdictions. Displayed is a summary of the CIP's program areas, or projects which are placed in various program areas. As you can see, the largest program areas in terms of funding are water and wastewater. The total proposed funding amount is $1.861 billion for the FY23 through FY27. Ooh.
He's switch hitting, so you gotta give him a little time here. There we go.
All right. Where was I? Hold on a sec. Okay, so depicted on the slide are the various program areas that the projects are placed into. For the FY23 through FY27 project years, it's a $1.861 billion for a total of 188 projects. The first step in reviewing the CIP and the schedule of projects for consistency was to take a look at the projects identified by city staff that address levels of service. and see how those projects compared to those priorities outlined in the comprehensive plan. Capital improvement section objective 1.3 and policy 1.3.2 state that the scheduled project should be planned to both eliminate existing deficiencies and replace worn out facilities. And as you can see, it combined 98% of the slated funding for projects that are for projects that eliminate deficiency or maintain levels of service. Utilizing geospatial data, the Planning Commission staff looked at the projects to ensure consistency with coastal management section objective 1.4, which states that public infrastructure and facilities should also be limited within the coastal hazard area. For those projects with available geospatial data, staff utilized GIS to determine the proximity to the coastal hazard area and found that 60 projects are or lie within the coastal hazard area. These projects are either for renovation, replacement of existing infrastructure, enhancing recreation areas, or the protection from hazards such as seawalls. This would be considered minimal construction and ensures that the city property and expenditures is not subject to unnecessary risk, and therefore the CIP is consistent with the coastal management section's objective 1.4. Ladies and gentlemen, staff recommends that the Planning Commission find the city's proposed FY23 through FY27 capital improvement program and capital improvement section schedule projects consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, sir. We didn't have anyone sign up for public comment on this item, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions or comments on this item. Not seeing any lights or motion at this time, then I will go ahead and close public comment and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Anyone? Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we find the CIS schedule of projects consistent with Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan and forward the attached resolution to the Tampa City Council. Mouse Island.
All right.
Second.
All right, that's a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza. Second to that motion by Commissioner Powell. Is there any more discussion from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any at this time. I will go on ahead and ask the clerk to do a roll call vote on this item.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Chair Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is 3B, Temple Terrace, 4-year 23 through 4-year 27, Capital Improvements Program. Presenter again is Diego Guerra.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Diego Guerra, Planning Commission staff. This is the Planning Commission's review of the City of Temple Terrace's FY23 through FY27 Capital Improvement Program update. The review was conducted in accordance with Chapter 97-351, which requires the Planning Commission conduct an annual review of the city's CIP. The review was also conducted to ensure consistency with the city's comprehensive plan, in addition to the comprehensive plans of adjacent jurisdictions. On the screen, you'll see the nine program areas where the projects fall into. For the fiscal years FY23 through FY27, a total of $56.44 million is allocated for 235 projects. Staff also analyzed the CIP with respect to funding sources requirements in the comprehensive plan. Capital Improvement Policy 1.5.5 states that the general fund should not be used for those facilities with dedicated revenue sources, such as potable water, wastewater, and solid waste. After review of the general fund expenditures, staff found none of these types of projects relied on general funds. Capital Improvement Policy 1.5.10 and 1.5.11 state that all projects within the first 3 years of the city CIP be funded with committed revenue sources. These include ad valorem taxes, gas taxes, and user charges. Staff reviewed the funding sources and timing and found that the CIP funding was in accordance with these requirements. Ladies and gentlemen, staff recommends the Planning Commission find the city's proposed FY23 through FY27 CIP consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. All right. We didn't have anyone sign up for public comment on this item either, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for discussions or questions on this item. Not seeing anyone moving at this time, I will close public comment and go on ahead and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Fernandez.
I'd like to move to recommend the Temple Terrace fiscal year 23 to 24 CIP for consistency with the Imagine 2040 Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan to the City of Temple Terrace Council.
Second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Fernandez, a second to that motion by Commissioner Buzza. Are there any more questions, discussions, or comments from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any, I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Chair Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried, 7-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Guerra. All right, our next item up for business is 3C. It's the Hillsborough County Public Schools Tentative 5-Year Facilities Work Program 2022 through 23 through 26 through 27. And the presenter is Sophia Garantiva.
All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. Sophia Garantiva, Planning Commission staff, here to present on the Hillsborough County Public Schools 5-Year Facilities Plan Work Program, also referred to as the 5-Year Work Program. Per the Florida state statutes and the interlocal agreements between the school board and each of our 4 local governments in Hillsborough County, the Planning Commission is asked to review the school's 5-year work plan annually for consistency with each of the jurisdiction's comprehensive plans. The 5-year work plan is adopted by the school board to provide adequate facility capacity for projected student enrollment. Ms. Michelle Orton, General Manager of Growth Management and Planning at Hillsborough County Public Schools, is here to present the proposed 5-year work plan for 2022-23 through 2026-27 and answer any questions you may have. Following her presentation, staff will present the consistency finding and ask the Planning Commission to take action. Thank you.
For the record, Michelle Orton with Hillsborough County Public Schools. As stated earlier, the Florida statute does require that each school district develop and approve a 5-year capital outlay work plan. This plan needs to be submitted to the Department of Education annually, and it needs to include all major repairs, renovations, new plan construction projects, class size information, the use of portable classrooms in the school district, project size information, and all types of projects included. And also needs to provide projected outlay revenues for the 5-year period. The tentative work plan was already approved by the school board. I'm just going to briefly go through this. This is the proposed construction projects for the next 5 years. As you see in year 1, we have the opening of 2022-2023, the York PK through 8 Waterset UU is the name we gave for it, Sumner High School addition, and then the Dorothy Thomas reconstruction. And then it lists year 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is the proposed construction projects listed per elementary school, middle school, the combination schools, high school, and our special needs. Here are our project revenues that we have listed here. This is how we are able to fund the different types of projects that we have. We have 5 primary capital funding sources: the school impact fees, local millage, community investment tax, the PICO maintenance revenue. The PICO is the public educational capital outlay. And then we have the capital outlay and debt service, our bond revenue, and then sale tax revenue projections. And then also included is project maintenance and construction needs. We have capital expenditures for the next 5 years: modular bus purchases, site purchases, and health, life, and safety. Here is a list of the proposed new schools. This is the same as the one previously, but this is just a breakdown of the new schools, the additions, the location, new student stations that we will be receiving from the work of the projects, the projected cost, and the opening dates for these new schools for the next 5 years. After we receive recommendations, we will submit the final 5-year work plan to the Florida Department of Education and notify the stakeholders, and then have this plan adopted by the school board. And thank you for your time.
Hello, Commissioners. Sophia Garantiva, Planning Commission staff here again. The staff reviewed the goals, objectives, and policies of the capital improvement, capital infrastructure, intergovernmental coordination, public school facilities elements of each of the jurisdiction's comprehensive plans. The specific goals, objectives, and policies for each comprehensive plan are outlined in more detail in the provided staff report. And based on this review, staff finds the school's 5-year work plan for 2022-23 through 2026-27 consistent with the future of Hillsborough Comprehensive Plan for Unincorporated Hillsborough County, Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and the Imagine 2040 Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan. As such, staff recommends the Planning Commission approve the resolution finding the proposed 5-year work plan consistent with the county's and city's comprehensive plans, and to forward the recommendation to the Hillsborough County School Board. Ms. Horton and I are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you both. All right, we did not have anyone sign up for the public comment on this item either, I believe. Let me just double check that again. Nope. All right, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions, comments, discussion on this item. Not seeing any at this time. I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we find the school district 5-year facilities work plan program 2022-2023 through 2026-2027 consistent, and for this recommendation to the Hillsborough County School Board.
Second.
All right, that's a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Buzza. Are there any more discussion, comments from commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote on this item.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Chair Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right. Our next item up is action item 3D, and it is the Hillsborough County Procedures Manual update, and the presenter is Yanika Mills. Your mic.
HTV, if you could please bring up my presentation. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Janika Mills, Planning Commission staff. I'm here to present the Hillsborough County Plan Amendment Procedures Manual Update. This is an action item for your vote today. As you all may know, the Procedures Manual is the document that guides the process of plan amendments for unincorporated Hillsborough County. The Procedures Manual has not been updated or for some time now. The current version that's being used today hasn't been revised since 2016. In 2020, Planning Commission staff started a total revamp of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Procedures Manual. With this revamp, the jurisdictions of Plant City, Temple Terrace, Tampa now have separate procedures manuals, so Hillsborough County will have a standalone procedures manual. The newly revamped version of the procedures manual will reflect changes in legislation. In your backup, you have a strike-through and underlined version of the changes that are being proposed to the procedures manual, as well as the newly formatted version of the procedures manual. The procedures manual was also vetted by county and legal staff. One of the more substantive changes, which was initiated by the Board of County Commissioners, is that privately initiated text amendments can only be proposed twice a year. That's during the January 1st plan amendment cycle and during the July 1st plan amendment cycle. Additionally, those privately initiated text amendments will now have to go before the Board of County Commissioners to determine if a proposed text amendment can proceed or not proceed through the plan amendment process. All of the references now for the jurisdictions of Tampa, Temple Terrace, and Plant City were removed. Additionally, due to the recently approved House Bill 487, small-scale plan amendments sizes have increased from 10 acres to 50 acres. Within the procedures manual, an applicant can apply for a small-scale plan amendment at any time currently. With the update of the new procedures manual, a small-scale plan amendment has to apply during set cycles. That's January 1st, April 1st, July 1st, or October 1st. One of the other major changes with the new procedures manual is that if a meeting is requested by a citizen, an applicant will now be required to hold a neighborhood meeting to inform citizens of their plan amendment proposal. At the July 2022 Planning Commission meeting, there was citizen concerns expressed regarding the proposed language for the process of neighborhood meetings. Since that time, staff has worked with citizens and clarified the language, and we believe that the revised language before you works procedurally as well as meets the citizens' needs. Additionally, the notice requirement has increased from 250 feet to 500 feet. If an applicant requests a continuance fee is assessed. Staff initially thought to include the amount of the fee within the procedures manual, but has since removed that since the July meeting because a fee at any time could change. So we thought it was best to remove it. And we also thought it was best to leave it out because it's also already referenced within the fee schedule that's adopted by Hillsborough County. Additionally, all references to the affirmative vote of at least one majority plus one of the total membership of the Board of County Commissioners has been removed from the procedures manual, being that this requirement already exists within the recently adopted private property rights element. Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed comprehensive plan amendment procedures manual update for unincorporated Hillsborough County be found consistent and forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners for approval. I'm here for any questions that you may have. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. We did have one person sign up for the public comment on this one, so Ron Weaver.
Ron Weaver, 401 East Jackson Street. I'd like to compliment the staff on working with this. As Ms. Mills just mentioned, we expressed a concern here about 5 weeks ago regarding neighborhood meetings and the language which may have inadvertently provided for potentially multiple neighborhood meetings when they were not necessary. But the neighborhood meeting language indeed has been worked on very elegantly by staff, and we're very grateful for them. However, we would like to express concerns about a 500-foot rather than a 250-foot distance, unless that has been adequately vetted and studied with respect to a 500-foot notice instead of the current 250-foot notice, and whether other jurisdictions and this kind of notification is necessary with its additional expense. And sometimes that's exponential when you've got 500 feet instead of 250 feet. It's not just mathematically double, it's exponential with respect to the 500-foot rather than the 250-foot notice. And finally, we would like to encourage this board to take a look at the property rights element and whether or not every plan amendment should require a supermajority or not. I know it came up briefly a few weeks ago in these chambers, whether or not the property rights element has already taken the issue of supermajority vote requirements in virtually all cases, whether or not that issue might be revisited in the property rights element, since it's not being done here because it's being done instead in the property rights element with respect to whether or not every plan amendment should require a supermajority. There being cases like affordable housing, bus emphasis corridors, other issues, even on your agenda today, where the requiring of a supermajority vote is an excessive requirement, which I believe in these chambers about 5 weeks ago, you went around, looked all over the state to find a model and found only Gadsden County. And therefore, I would respectfully suggest that if the private property rights element could be amended to allow at least some instances where it's not a supermajority vote for every single comprehensive plan amendment. Getting 5 out of 7 votes means that you're impeding the ability to do even the things that you most urgently need, especially in affordable housing provision with respect to densities and the like, with respect to a number of other policies for which a 5 votes requirement for a plan amendment, if only precedented in Gadsden County, means that 95% of the jurisdictions in Florida are continuing to use a majority. And if there's an extraordinary issue that merits 5 votes instead of 4, name those important, urgent issues for which there should be extra votes in order to amend the comp plan. And with that, we again thank the staff for working with us on the neighborhood meetings. And for the record, do note, as we have in previous meetings, the subject of too much notice on the 500 feet versus the 250 feet, and on where the subject of 5 versus 4 votes will amend your comprehensive plan. With gratitude for your patience this afternoon, and to staff. Ms. Mills.
Thank you. Ms. Mills, did you want to respond or?
Sure, I can definitely respond to the change from the 250 feet to 500 feet. Staff did take the time to study adjacent jurisdictions of Charlotte County, Manatee County, Pinellas County, Pasco County, and most of those jurisdictions do use the 500 feet. So that's where we thought to be consistent with other jurisdictions in the area. That's why we were revised it to 500 feet.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Buzza.
Ms. Mills, can you walk me through why we're going to reduce text amendments to just twice a year?
That was asked by the Board of County Commissioners. And I think the thought is that changing a text amendment takes, I don't want to use the word harder, but it takes a lot more of, I guess, staff's time and resources for a text amendment versus a map amendment.
And the second follow-up question on the small scale amendments, those are limited as well in the new procedures manual to the number of times they can be, or number that, the date they can be submitted?
Well, they can be submitted as of right now. They can be submitted at any time in the plan amendment process.
Right, but I thought I read here
And now
they limit that, right?
We're not limiting them. They have to be submitted on the actual dates that are set. They can still be submitted October or January 1st, April 1st, July 1st, or October 1st.
And this does not address the supermajority in this procedure, man. I was trying to find that, and I cannot see that.
That is correct.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Buzzer. Are there any more questions or discussions from the commissioners on this item? Commissioner Powell, I see you moving.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I was comparing the prior plan to what's been proposed, I noticed that in the word data in the prior procedures manual isn't even touched on. It's not even stated in there, or analysis. And in our current version that we have here, it's only mentioned, twice. And we've had some instances where in our last meeting, we've had, I forget who did, the study, but on the commercial and locational criteria, that company, but there wasn't really any, data that they were able to bring forth, to the board on any of the recommendations. It was just, hey, we bring these because we heard this from the public, but there was nothing that I saw that really, backed that up. So for my first question is why don't we have, a requirement for having, data and analysis be provided to us, for comp plan amendments and these and changes?
Why don't we?
Yes. Is there a reasoning for that?
I would say the application is not something that is adopted, and the application does require data and analysis supporting the amendment. They have an opportunity to write a narrative and provide any supplemental information that they feel that will support their application. But the actual application form is not adopted as part of the procedures manual.
Okay. But in here,
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Sorry, Melissa Zornita, Executive Director.
Thank you.
But in order to actually, when we're reviewing material, that there's no requirement that we receive from the applicant, whether private or public, to receive anything that is supported with data analysis. So I have somewhere to go with this. I'm just curious why has there ever been a requirement, because it wasn't updated in 2016. So I don't know if there was a reason that maybe it wasn't a previous version and then it was taken out.
Not that I can specifically recall. I mean, there were changes in state statute in 2011 that changed to some degree the basis of review for plan amendments statutorily. But my recollection is that the requirements of the application have always lived in the actual application form, which is not, again, adopted as part of the procedures manual.
Okay. So what I would like to address then is, and Tracy, I guess you can correct me if this is the proper way to go about this, but I think that we need to have some written requirement that when we're going through and we're getting these amendments and we're thinking about them on the planning commission side, specifically, that we are provided with data and analysis. So I would like to see a section in here, and I don't know the best place to really put that. My thought was, and again, this is open to the board members, but the language that I was thinking about would be something like this. In accordance with Chapter 163 of Florida statute, both public and private plan amendments must be supported by professionally accepted data and analysis. Short and sweet, but at least there is that requirement. So then that way, when we are receiving things, that it's not just, hey, the public said this, so this is what we're doing. That there's some other backing behind that, so we can fully understand. And so I'd like to hear what some of the other commissioners were thinking. I don't know if maybe on page 6, under the Planning Commission staff review, if that's, an appropriate area, or in the application submission paragraph, on paragraph 5, on page 5, excuse me.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
That would be, a good area to have that. But I'd like to have that inserted.
Thoughts from staff or the executive director?
I don't have any problem with that addition. I think that's a great add, and I think the section on application submission would be a great place to put it right up front for where applicants are looking at what they need to supply.
So would I need to make a specific motion or to add that now, or this is something that would have to come back?
I think what would be appropriate if it would be to put that in the motion for approval.
Okay.
To include that change.
Okay, all right. Well, then I'll wait to see if anyone else has comments.
Thank you. All right. Any more discussion from the commissioners or questions on this item? Not seeing any lights or movement, so, Commissioner Handy.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the 500 feet change. I'm glad to hear that our neighboring counties use that, because particularly in unincorporated areas, I mean, you're not going to get much within 250 feet. So, and these amendments stand to significantly affect rural residents. And I think the more opportunity for the residents to get involved, and the more people that are aware as soon as possible, being a rural resident, I hear all the time about, well, I didn't know X was going to happen, and why didn't they tell us, that sort of thing. So, and the comp plan is really important, not that it's not in the urban areas, but it's the blueprint for people buy pieces of property and set up their homes there, and they consult the comp plan and the future land use maps and think that they're safe from something that's going to happen to change that lifestyle. And I feel it should be incumbent upon the applicant to provide all the information they can. And hence, the Commissioner Powell's suggestion, I think, is a great one too. So I'm really glad to hear the 500-foot change is taking place. And for that same reason, I also support the supermajority, because I think it's far too important when we change our comp plan to not have proper representation for the citizens, and that helps ensure that, I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Any more comments or discussions? Questions from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing anyone. I will go on ahead then and close public comment on this item and open it up to Commissioner Powell's motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion that we find the procedures manual for unincorporated Hillsborough County consistent, and that we add on page 5, paragraph talking about application submission, the following language. In accordance with Chapter 163 Florida statutes, both public and private plan amendments must be supported by professionally accepted data and analysis, and that we forward this recommendation to Board of County Commissioners.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion of approval by Commissioner Powell and a motion of approval with some read-in instructions on a revision to add in. Hopefully, yeah, I see Ms. Zornita scribbling it down. She got that. And a second to that motion by Commissioner Buzza. Is there any more discussion of this item or questions on this item from the commissioners at this point in time? No. All right, with that motion and that second, then I will turn it over to the clerk to do a roll call vote on this item.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Chair Joseph?
No.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-1. Commissioner Joseph voted no.
Thank you. All right. Next item up for business is item 3E, modification of contract for commercial locational criteria study, and the presenter is Melissa Leinhardt.
Hi, thank you. HTV, would you mind presenting the next item? Or not presenting it, showing the All right, a little slow this afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Melissa Leinhardt with your Planning Commission staff. There we go. Today I'm covering the contract extension for the Commercial Locational Criteria Study, otherwise known as CLC, just to keep that a little bit briefer. In case you need a refresher, the CLC is a set of requirements that's established under Objective 22 in the future land use element that's in the unincorporated county comprehensive plan. Like the name implies, the CLC is intended to ensure that residents can meet their daily needs for goods and services near their home. At the August 8th Planning Commission meeting, the item was continued in order to provide additional public engagement opportunities, and this additional input will then culminate with the new draft language in draft 6 next month. This slide shows the added activities that will be associated with the contract extension. So we'll have 2 additional community meetings. Those will be hybrid. So there'll be a virtual component and an in-person component. We did have one already take place on August 30th. And then community meeting number 6 will take place on October 18th. The consultant will be in person for that meeting. And both community meetings will have summaries that will be posted on the website for the project. The comments matrix will include all the public comments that are made on the existing draft number 5. That will then inform the changes for draft number 6. It also includes 2 public hearings that the consultant will attend in person, so one at the Planning Commission and the transmittal hearing at the Board of County Commissioners. It also includes 10 one-on-one commissioner briefings, as well as 10 conference calls with staff. The compensation for the attendance for community meeting number 5 that already took place, that was covered by the outstanding balance on the contract from the previous contract. The Planning Commission had previously selected SNME to work on this study, and the current contract amount is $112,800. The proposed addendum may include more meetings that I showed on the previous slide than are needed, but we wanted to make sure that we covered all contingencies with this one modification. So the proposed addendum would have a contract amount not to exceed $24,455. As far as next steps are concerned, again, as I mentioned, next month we'll have draft 6 available, which will take into account that added public input that we've now received. October 18th is the scheduled date for community meeting number 6. And as I mentioned, that will be a hybrid meeting, so in person as well as online. And then the public hearing for the Planning Commission is scheduled for December 12th. And the recommendation is that staff recommends Planning Commission approve the modification to the contract with SNME, increasing the contract budget not to exceed $24,455. That concludes my presentation. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. All right, we didn't have anyone sign up for public comment on this one, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions or discussions on this item. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if I understood, we are having an additional meeting, and with that additional meeting, it's going to cost $24,000?
No, I can go back up to the HTV if you wouldn't mind showing the presentation again. The $24,455 includes all of this in addition to 10 meetings with staff.
Okay, all right. See that.
And we've added the in-person component with the consultant as well. So they will be in person for community meeting number 6. They will also be in person for the December public hearing with you all, and then in January for the Board of County Commissioners. So that's 3 traveling in person added to the contract, when before we've done everything virtually. But we thought that had some value, so we wanted to make sure we covered that.
Okay, and then are we asking them to provide us with, any, like data and analysis, not to beat a dead horse here, but, with respect to the last time this came before us, there wasn't really a lot that they had to, to back up. It was just a lot of, hey, we heard this from the citizens. And so, have we asked them to revise or include in their scope of work that? I don't see it here, but maybe that was discussions.
We actually have not revised that because they did do the background research, just for sake of time last month. With that presentation already being around 15 minutes, we didn't want to get, say like above people's heads, maybe be a little bit esoteric getting into the data and the analysis, but we have taken that comment seriously. So when it does come back to you, we will be presenting some, some data and analysis, some background information and research that the consultant has performed.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions or comments on this item from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time, I'll go on ahead and close public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I find that we move this, trying to find the title of it. There we go. Modification for contract, commercial locational criteria, and approve this expense.
All right, that's a motion for approval by Commissioner Buzza. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All right, second by Commissioner Powell, that motion to approve. Any more questions or discussions, comments by the commissioners? Not seeing any, I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote on this item.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Chair Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right. And that is our last action item for this meeting, and it is on to our briefings and presentations. And the first one up is 4A, Tampa School Transportation Safety Study, and the presenter is Lisa Silva.
HCV, I think she's ready for the presentation.
I am now. Takes
Oh,
8
okay.
seconds to load. Lionel said so. Hi, Lisa Silva. I'm Plan Hillsborough staff. I work on your transportation planning team, and I have the honor of being the person assigned to coordinate schools and transportation. So I was one of the people that commented on your 5-year work program earlier in the agenda. So being the person that's overseeing this, we have a study. So the TPO, the Transportation Planning Organization, has planning dollars, and they've designated for certain study projects, and this happens to be one. So I'm going to give you a brief overview, tell you how we did the selection for the sites that we did, and how we have been going about it, and some of the recommendations and the next steps. So let me tell you about the history. So we have a school board, we're blessed with a school board member being a member of the TPO board now. You guys have a school board member on your commission, and so that helps us coordinate school and transportation issues, with the school district being the largest employer and 274 schools, and definitely an impact when school starts to our roadways. It's an important topic to coordinate. So we have completed one study back in 2018 when we first started digging into this, and it helps us with our implementation and commitment to Vision Zero. We went and did all 274 schools back in that day. We did a road safety audit, so a detailed review of the top 12, I call them the most dangerous schools, based on the criteria. And City of Tampa has asked us to come back and then help go further down the list. So that's what I'm going to give you a little overview of today. So in that, we identify physical things that we can improve with the transportation system. We make suggestions on some policy things that we see as professionals. And then in this time, in these days of budget constraints, it's we may see engineering solutions everywhere we turn, but we don't have big buckets of money to implement all of them. So we did have a big, strong emphasis on encouragement and education as a way to enhance this study. So we don't do this alone. We've gathered many people to the table. school district staff is one of the members in that. We have those groups that are in the community that are really highly effective at the encouragement and education component. Other engineering staff, obviously enforcement's an important part, the crossing guards, the principals. So we have several stakeholder meetings along the way to review the products, parent groups, et cetera. So we started out analyzing with fresh data the list we had before of all the schools ranked, and we did a refresh on that. This time again, with all the information we have, way to enhance that, we did a much stronger emphasis on our equity component, balancing that with safety, and then some miscellaneous things. Okay, so some of the things you see when we do the site selection, we have to look at the enrollment area, the number of students that are there, the type of school that it is, how many crashes have been there in the area, the type of crashes, do the crashes involve school-age children on school days, the roadway characteristics, so the context of it, you know, that we have many, many different types of schools and scales of schools, and schools that are K-8, charter, magnet, et cetera. So that's kind of complicated when we go through all this scoring. So one of the ways we designate our equity is the communities of concern or the underserved communities, the percentage of students with free and reduced lunches at the different schools, the size of the enrollment area, or the enrollment traverses one of our top high entry corridors, so they get points for that. The types of crashes get scored. You know, anyway, I promised Melissa I wouldn't go into too much detail. Okay, the characteristics and the distance from the school. So the distance from the school door and whether you're bused or not bused is set forth in state law, not us, state law. So it's 2 miles, as we know we'd prefer that to be a little smaller to be consistent with our transit-oriented development or traditional neighborhood development. It's more comfortable to go to a 5-10 minute walk, but that is what we're dealing with. So we're out there to protect the children as best we can. So we evaluated the 2 mile distance in and around the schools. As I said, there was a focus on the Tampa schools this time. Hillsborough County and City of Tampa and Temple Terrace took our list and have been working on towards implementation. This was a request from our Tampa client. So these are the lists of top 8 schools where we're looking at that detailed analysis. Some of the schools that were ranked very high last time are still, unfortunately, still high because, again, there's not lots of money that has implemented many of the solutions. They went to work on implementing them. It just takes a few years to budget them and program them. So those were taken off the top. So we have Shaw, Blake High School, Orange Middle Magnet, Just Elementary, West Tampa, Stewart Middle, Potter, and Jefferson High. I'm going to hit a couple examples, but not go into the details on each of them. Okay, so not only we're a big outreach agency, so we sent, and thank you school board staff, they helped us. We sent out to every single guardian and parent in the district a request to fill out a survey. It was modeled after the National Safe Routes to School survey, so it helped, and then we added some questions that would help us refine what we knew from schools from the previous study and what we wanted to learn going forward. We had over 6,000 responses, so it gave us a lot of information, so we call them the family surveys. It's not surprising that many, in my opinion, too many, are going to school in personal vehicles. It's unfortunate. We'd like to get that mode split a bit higher amongst the others, especially walking and biking, the days of the week, their perceived ability to walk and how far. So elementary schools have a smaller boundary area and catchment, so it's not surprising that their distance was shorter. High schools are pretty ginormous in our county, so they are a special animal when we go to review this data. So, And then the way the schools are designed with some of the magnets and stuff, they do travel quite far. So anyway, there's lots of great information that we used to do the next step of our analysis. We even threw in a COVID question to see if things had radically shifted because of the time period when they were e-learning and then they came back to school and that perception of the pandemic. But as you can see from the results here, not radically different. So that was interesting to know. We're like, oh, there's lots of technology available to us that hasn't been in the past. So we asked them about, like, how do you track your children? Is there any technology out there that you use to help that would make you feel more comfortable, et cetera? So that was kind of an interesting question to find out about. So we kind of have then we're like, oh, guess who knows a lot about the schools? The administrators, the principals and vice principals at each school. So we sent out a survey to all of them, over 100, and asked them to please answer our questions. So they did, and so then we got the perception of their willingness and what types of modes they're using, their drop-off issues. Fortunately, there are a lot of parents out there dropping off in non-designated areas. So we were like, good to know and observe when we go out into the field, which was our next thing. Of course, from the school's perspective, the school circulation is a big problem, and we do agree it's a big problem for all of us that are users of the roadways when that school backup line backs up onto our arterials, so it causes delays for the whole system. So we're trying to incentivize better approaches to that. So, and then we asked them for their strategies. And part of this and that education thing is to educate each other on really great strategies that are working at other schools, see if we can't steal and borrow them, learn something new and interesting at the national level that we can bring here locally. So you'll see a little product I've got going on there, but you know, incentivizing the carpool line, letting the bikers and walkers go first, you know, different priorities, then learning what resources they need. You'll see some photos here that are kind of frightening that we had out in the thing that they could really use some resources. So these are some things, including parent cooperation. So the parents are as bad as the children sometimes. So we went out then in the field. Let's go see and experience it. It's at dismissal and arrival, et cetera. So you can see here, when I listed cones as a resource, I call this the cone fatality slide because they're just obliterated, and this is what the school resource officer has to use each day. And then I call one in the middle bottom there, sidewalk jail, because there's this lovely sidewalk that leads from the middle school over to the high school, yet it's closed a majority of the day. So they're forced into a very narrow roadway that has maintenance issues, as you can see. So anyway, there's a lot for us to tackle. One of my pet peeves on the design of the schools, so we have recommendations on-site and off-site, and when you're off-site, you have different jurisdictions that own and maintain the roadways. So when we design schools, I'd like us to have not just vehicular use areas as your entrance to the school. You can see these students are forced into the drive aisle. They have great sidewalks outside, and then they have great sidewalks near the front door, but they're forced into the drive aisles on a lot of schools. So land use planners, you can pay attention to that and put that in the notes. Okay, so Shaw was just one. So when we went out, we have these color-coded by types of recommendations. So speed was the number one thing. Speed-related things, infrastructure things, behavior and policy things, and then some miscellaneous and information things. So we have these for each of the 8 schools. We looked at the results of the family surveys for each of them, the results of the principal surveys. Even if the principal didn't provide us a lot of information in their initial survey, we went out and met and had a little mini charrette with each of them at the schools and showed them our draft recommendations. Are these crazy? What did we miss? They had a lot of really great feedback, and they will meet with you when it's summer break. So then we're enhancing those and taking them back to the stakeholders to show them. Orange Grove Magnet was different, again, the different types of schools, the different sizes of schools, the different neighborhoods and contexts. So, and then West Tampa was another one. They have really tight sites and schools, and they have some one-ways that make it a little challenging and a little enticing for the neighborhood to cheat and go the wrong way down the street. So they're very excited about our Paint Saves Lives technique to go out and like maybe paint the special use areas and have the drop-off line very distinctly different than the travel lane, and it'll make the road seem narrower and like they can't really cheat and sneak down that way. They've done a great thing about closing some streets to just buses and walkers during arrival, which we totally concur. So we'd like to see that formalized as a City of Tampa policy, so other schools can use that technique. And like I said, we highlight each survey results for each of them: Potter, Jefferson. So West Shore Alliance's new public art committee is excited about our suggestion to do some crosswalks to classrooms with the vibrant paint, you know, where you have special areas where students cross, and or a painted intersection, or you know, some kind of art to enhance visibility and awareness that children are in this area for Jefferson. Turned out 3 of the most least safe schools were right next to each other, so we have this whole big campusy kind of approach to help serve all of them. So we happen to have an elementary, a middle, and a high school all in the same area. And then, as you probably know from approving different developments, some big redevelopment going on in the area. So I wouldn't mind if the district would change it from a magnet to a neighborhood school, given all the new residents going to projectively come to the area, so that we don't have those buses going, because when you interview and see their survey results, not many live in the area. They're all driving to these teeny tiny brick streets. So anyway, so I digress. So we did this for each, and then you get a sneak peek. So as I've mentioned, encouragement and education is another thing that we like to tackle at a bigger way this time. So we have some very popular and effective programs that Sidewalk Stompers does at Roosevelt and other schools, and we'd like to leverage and make more PTAs and more administrators aware of that. And they've been partnering with us, and we'd like to roll out and get more of that at other schools. I, through my Vision Zero and safety coalitions, know of some really great resources at the state level that they have videos and coloring books and materials that have already been approved and endorsed to be in classrooms. Down there in the corner is the who you gonna call. So we have like a who you gonna call reference that we're gonna give out to administrators. So when they go, oh, the light is out, you know, we have a dark thing, or we have a tree that needs to trim, who do we call? If crossing guard, we like to have it reevaluated. This is who you call. So I get so many of those random questions, as I'm sure that the school district does, and it spends a lot of time. We're like, oh, let's just have like maybe even a magnet for one of those file cabinets we see when we go out and do the charrettes with them. Then another one we're exploring is yard signs, similar to our Vision Zero yard signs, but these would be special for in school zones and designated safe routes to school to bring awareness to the road users and neighbors to slow down. This is a special area. And then there's an image of one of the first crosswalks to classrooms. And at West, that same school that I mentioned earlier, they have a new logo for their mascot, and they would really like that incorporated into the design that we would like to find funding for to implement around their school. So that's a highlight of the different things we're doing with this. Some of the next steps are we're having a stakeholder meeting number 3 to go over the latest we've heard from the principals and the final draft recommendations and all the encouragement and education pieces that we're finalizing. It'll be wrapping up and presented to the Transportation Planning Organization Board in December. So that's my little highlight.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the 7 schools that you'll be redoing, I'm assuming in Tampa, or at least the 7 that were in Tampa, maybe it would be great to see if any of those improvements were made now that you're doing sort of a second round. So those suggestions that I see in there, and the selection criteria is really impressive. It's a great study, but I would like to see maybe, you know, 5 years, were any of those improvements made?
I can answer that for you now. Okay, so last time we had 12, and they were all 4 jurisdictions, and then the school district was one of the players, and Department of Transportation, because some of their roads are adjacent to the school district. So the results were done with a cost estimates by jurisdiction. Like, so if it was an on-property recommendation that was given to the school district, they formed an on-site circulation committee. They started working down the list. So they have implemented many of the things. Some of the bigger ones that take a little, like a next step, like more engineering analysis or bigger dollars or something. You know, I don't think they've done all 100% of all of them, but the little ones, they definitely have. I was very impressed before this thing was even like totally dry. The first study in 2018, the city staff were already trying to figure out ways to fold some of the recommendations into existing projects. For instance, they had a stormwater project that was near a school and adjacent to one of the roadways that had some suggestions. So they're like, oh, hey, before we finalize the scope, we're going to fold these right into that project. And then they had a traffic calming project, another one that they couldn't do all of the school recommendations for that one, but the ones that were they could include into the traffic calming, they did. And again, you know, they don't have a ton of sidewalk dollars every year, so like some of them are still sitting there. But then they said they've done those, and they wanted to move on to the next 8. So they get 8, and they're all in this Tampa at this time. They have the older schools, so they have a higher % crash data currently.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other? Commissioner Kress.
Great job on this. Something I've observed, well, I think we could solve a lot of the world's problems through schools, but that's another topic for another day. But something I've observed is that, you know, we have to put up big fences around all of our schools now, and the entrances to the schools are not necessarily in a convenient location for the kids walking to school, and I wondered if that was looked at. Could the gates be open at least during kind of this when school's coming in and school's coming out or something, so the kid doesn't have to walk the whole way around to the front of the school?
Okay, well, Lisa Silva's not the queen of the school district, but we do observe that, and that is a pet peeve of mine. But I do understand it's a challenge to balance safety with security. I know we definitely have a safety problem. So one school, Shaw, they do have a neighborhood, and they have a park next to it and stuff. So the resource officer is kind enough to go out at 7 a.m. and he goes and unlocks the pedestrian gate on that side of the, so they can sheet flow over and bike and stuff. And he knows exactly how many bikers to be looking for at that time of day. And then he has to go back and lock it after he's done with the queuing. We'd like to see more of that. And I feel for them. We have a teacher shortage. They don't have a lot of staff. So all of these things take that. They have to have a commitment. They might even have a gate, but then they have to commit to having somebody there, and then there's that responsibility then for the little ones and stuff. But definitely siting and design policies could help us. Yeah. Hey, but one success, last time they would just decide magnets were magnets because they didn't have a lot of students in the attendance at the school. And they're like, oh, if we turn it into a magnet, we'll have more kids come. And we're like, wait, not all schools are appropriate to become a magnet. And there might be an empty school across the street that would be way better. So now they do. They have transportation director at all of those policy decision steps as a result of the first study. It's one win.
All right, Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Great presentation. Didn't see anything in there, and I don't know if it's brought up about like reaching out to other organizations, like looking for volunteers, you know, in order to maybe see people just willing to donate their time, retirees, senior citizens, retired military, you know, personnel, you know, in order to maybe try to, you know, see and coordinate with them, being able to just donate time, being posted up along certain walk paths, you know, in areas to maybe that'll help, you know, parents feel, you know, a little more at ease with sending their, you know, their kids to school. Because I mean, I know where my kids go, and we live across the street, and I don't let them do that. So, but you know, there's not like there's police or anything out there. I know that that may not be the right personnel for that, but I think, retirement groups, retirees might be, I fully believe we would file them in law in 2 weeks, a group of senior citizens would have went over there, so.
Well, you read our mind, because that is in the list. In fact, I was very impressed with the City of Tampa's Vision Zero Action Plan. One of the actions in there is to designate staff as ambassadors that could go out and supplement. So, a couple hours a day, maybe once or twice a month, they could help go out and do that. I have a staff member who says when she retires, she's going to be, grandmother in charge of a bike train. So she's going to help get her grandson and any other kids in the neighborhood to school safely. And that's what we call bike trains when they all train, but we call it a walking school bus when another adult's in charge and kind of gathers up the kids, and then other parents feel a little more comfortable because you got somebody that knows the rules of the road,
Right.
guiding them all. Definitely enhancing all that is one of our goals. Sidewalk Stompers has done that super effectively at their home school. Now they branched out to 9 others, and I coursed Melissa Zarnita in to help and sponsor them to help leverage that a little bit, consistent with this study. And I have an email drafted that if she could help have me and other staff do this presentation in a different format for the Great American Teach-In, so we can get more of this information out there. I've also asked to be a speaker at the PTA trainings, so they're aware, and then they can go, oh yeah, let's tap into this retirement group and get this school supported, because none of them have the same level of parent participation. So that's a great idea, and it's on the list.
All right, are there any more comments or questions from the Commissioner Orton?
Just a couple of things. With the gates, we do have to have security to open those gates, and anything within the gates, they have to be approved through the Jessica Lunsford Act. So the volunteers or anyone that is within the gates, they have to be checked and be make sure that there's no criminal activity in their past, just to protect the children. So just a little bit of information on that.
Thank you. All right, I did have one minor curiosity that I'll throw out at this point in time, something that's been going around in the back of my mind having to do with the TPO and safety in general. I bring it up because you brought up the paint saves lives things we've been doing for a while. And I know we've been doing this thing since Vision Zero started, going out and painting different areas on the street in the community. I'm wondering, has there been any thought towards suggesting to the municipalities and also to the county that simply painting the streets be part of their capital improvement program, like adding other tones to the streets? We see capital improvement stuff coming for us all the time, and it would just seem like a simple thing to say, hey, add some green paint to the white stripes that you're putting out there and just do that around all schools. It seems almost like a no-brainer, and paint's comparably pretty cheap. I haven't run that down yet, but it seems like something we should be suggesting or thinking about suggesting, because we go out there and do it ourselves a lot, and I see it on the road, and it works as a visual sort of cue, so has there been any thought to that?
Yes, there has. Okay, so one example is a project I did last year was the safe access to parks. So in the recommendation, it is that the green bike lane paint should be prioritized in and around special target areas such as parks. I just dropped my kid off this morning. He had golf and too much stuff to carry on his bike. So I was coming out of there, and then they've got green paint on the arterial road here and the arterial road there, but not in front of the school. And I'm like, and then I'd like to see them prioritize the green paint on our high injury network. Let's, a minimum, get the paint there, because I get that they don't have unlimited funds. But yeah, those are things that the Vision Zero staff are working towards. We've had some success already, because unincorporated Hillsborough has not had paint on their roadways. The green paint in the bike lanes was the first step, which they resisted initially, but now they do. So yay, and they have a draft Complete Streets guide that has a chapter on exploring doing the painted intersections and painted crosswalks. So we're now seeing in print that they're at least open to developing standards to do that. So We got to get those in place for them to then budget them. But yeah, you man after my heart. Yep.
Thank you. All right. Are there any more questions or discussions from the commissioners on this item? Seeing none at this time, we'll thank you for the information and move on to our next item of business. And we have 4B, Hccpa 22-07, Island Recreation Future Land Use Category, and the presenter is Yanika Mills.
Good afternoon again, Commissioner Yanika Mills, Planning Commission staff. I'm here to present Hccpa 2207, Island Recreation Future Land Use Category. At the direction of the Board of County Commissioners, Planning Commission staff, as well as county staff, and the owner of Pine Key Island were directed to collaborate on creating a new future land use category. So staff is initiating this text amendment to establish the future land use category, island recreation. This category may be used to designate any privately owned island, including Pine Key Island, with a suitable future land use category that would fit the intended uses and unique characteristics of the site. So this new future land use classification will be placed in Appendix A of the future land use element. And some of the components of Appendix A with the new future land use classification would include residential gross density. This new future land use classification, residential uses will not be permitted with the exception of a caretaker facility. Some of the typical uses of this new future land use classification would include outdoor passive recreation, open public space, public beach, water access, beach volleyball, camping, limited special events, temporary vendors, as well as enclosed storage that's related to the upkeep of the island. All of the uses are meant to not be detrimental to the site, as well as just be consistent with the recreational uses considered on the site. As for maximum floor area ratio or square footage that would be allowed on the site for non-residential uses, a 0.25 FAR or up to 20,000 square feet of non-residential with building scale complementary to and not detrimental to the environmental nature of the site couldn't be considered on the site. As far as the specific intent of the category, the specific intent of island recreation future land use category is to designate islands that will allow limited development of recreational uses that are not detrimental, again, to the environmental features on the site. Additionally, some accessory uses such as restrooms, picnic areas can be considered on the site. And at the development stage, the applicant would have to go through a planned development rezoning. This future land use category is not intended to designate islands that are acquired through the Environmental Lands and Acquisition Program or any state or federal or nonprofit agency. Additionally, it's not the intent of Hillsborough County to provide islands with public services or infrastructure such as sewer, potable water, or fire services. We did receive some comments from the Environmental Protection Commission thus far, and they did express that development for recreational uses on the site does have the potential to cause some environmental impacts. It is my understanding that at the time of development stage, any proposal that would come before staff to review, that the EPC would have to review it at that time for it to meet, and it has to meet regulations. Additionally, EPC did suggest a minor revision in the verbiage that is being proposed under specific intent, Staff will continue to collaborate with EPC on the verbiage that they are asking to be revised. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Were there any, Commissioner Fernandez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm curious about the FAR. Most recreation and open space uses have a lower FAR. And I'm also curious, and it's sort of related to it, that Pine Key Island is moving and shrinking as we speak. So I wonder how we can really measure that. It's shrinking drastically.
Yes, it is our understanding that you are correct. It is shrinking rapidly. You know, at the time of development, you know, we just have to, whatever uses the applicant intends to build and develop on the site, we just have to look at them being complementary to the environmental features on the site and not detrimental to the site, so.
I would just add one, I think Unica misspoke, and it's a .025 instead of
yes.
0.25, so it's a .025 FAR.
Yes.
So it is pretty
Sorry.
low. Yeah, and it is limited to development only the land above the mean high water line.
Yes.
That makes more sense. Thank you.
Thank you. That answered my main questions, too. I was answering about the demarcation. I did have another question for you, though, Unica, just off-the-cuff question. It was, as you're reading it to me, it sounded so funny. It's like we're approving land use for privately owned islands. I was wondering, is there anywhere, other counties in Florida that have a land use category for privately owned islands? Are we going to be unique in that respect? That's what I was thinking. Miami might, but.
Yeah, there are other jurisdictions that definitely have it. Yeah, like in the Keys.
Okay.
Yeah, so we won't be unique. Sorry.
Thank you. Are there any more questions or comments from the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Powell.
With what we have, would this, with the limited recreational, if people wanted to have the ability to, say, you know, camp there or, you know, pay to camp there, is that a, you know, if they wanted to set that up, is that allowed? Like, people wanted to camp on Pine Key Island, I don't know if that's a thing, but.
Camping is one of the uses that can be considered on Pine King Island.
Okay.
Yes.
Curious. Thank you.
How specific are the uses? Because I noticed that it was like beach volleyball, and I was like, well, what if I, you know, want to do some other volleyball or something? Like, how specific are we getting here with the sports and stuff?
Well, we're trying to keep because this is a future land use classification, we're trying to keep that general in nature. And then once we get to the rezoning stage, that's when we can be more specific.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Handy.
Well, that may partially answer my question, but some of these, step back, can we assume that this would also apply to any future similar situations and not just this one island?
Right, this does apply to any privately island.
Okay. Well,
Private island.
many of these islands support very important shorebird nesting habitat, and some of them have gopher tortoises on them, for example. Would EPC's review address those items, or would it go to FWC? Or are there seasonal restrictions? Are there, I mean, are dogs allowed? I mean, there are lots of other things to possibly consider if we are being environmentally compatible with wildlife species such as those.
I'm not sure if EPC reviews that specific thing, but I'm sure they're, thank you. I'll leave it to the environmental expert.
Commissioners, hi, Sean College, Planning Commission staff, Director of Strategic Planning, Environmental and Research. It's a very good question. Again, this is intended for privately held islands, so first off, it will not apply to publicly held islands, to any of the ELAP islands or other islands held by the state or federal government, primarily for conservation purposes. So it's not also guaranteed. If a privately owned island can seek this land use, but it's not guaranteed. It depends upon the suitability and appropriateness of whether this land use is suitable for that island. So in any event, the environmental resources, particularly wetlands or wetland resources, would always be evaluated by the Environmental Protection Commission. EPC does not have jurisdiction in upland areas, so issues like gopher tortoises would be the realm of the county's Natural Resource Department. and they would refer it to the FWC when appropriate. And actually, that is the subject Gopher Tortoise is going to be in just a few minutes on your agenda, and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions or comments on this item from the commissioners? Discussions? No, not seeing any. We'll thank you for the information and move on to our next item on the agenda. And it is 4C, Hccpa 22-06, Williams Road and East Sly Avenue, and the presenter is Carla Llanos.
Are they sharing the presentation? Thank you. Good afternoon. Carla Llanos with the Comprehensive Plan Review Team. This is a privately initiated small-scale comprehensive plan amendment known as 22-06 Williams Road and Sly Avenue. It's in the unincorporated Hillsborough County. The plan amendment is located in the middle of the July 2022 cycle in the Tortoise community. The property is located at 7100 Williams Road in Seffner. It's east of Interstate 75 and Williams Road, north of Interstate 4, Circle South Road, and Sly Avenue East. The subject property is currently vacant. However, staff did a site visit in early March of this year. We did find a couple of open storage of construction materials and some equipment. However, we have not been out to that property since March, so we currently don't know what the state of the property is right now. Now, surrounding the property, it's mostly in a rural area with residential and agricultural uses. You do have a couple of schools within proximity to the property. You also have an airport, which is to the west on the other side of Interstate 75, and that's approximately about 3,500 linear feet away. And then you have more intense uses along County Road 579, such as a wastewater treatment facility, manufacturing, warehouse and distribution, dealerships, and retail. But that area is mostly 4,500 linear feet away. And let me see if I can use the pointer. Here it is. So this is more of the intense area here that you see with my mouse. And then the airport is on this side of Interstate 75. This is the subject site, and as you can see, it's mostly residential and agricultural. The subject property is approximately 10 acres in size. It's in the rural service area, as I previously mentioned, and in the Tortoise Community Plan. The plan amendment was originally part of that January cycle of this year. However, since then, the applicant actually revised their application twice. First, they requested LIP, and then they went over to residential 4. Now they are requesting residential 2. So it's changed multiple times. The adopted future land use category of the subject property is residential 1. Okay. So residential 1 allows typically farms, ranches, residential uses, rural scale, neighborhood commercial uses, office uses, multi-purpose projects. Any type of commercial office related use needs to meet locational criteria. And then we have the proposed future land use right now is residential 2. So it does change slightly. It's going to allow for residential, suburban scale neighborhood commercial, office uses, and multi-purpose projects. It still needs to meet locational criteria. Now, the subject property is surrounded by a sea of residential 1. Residential 4 can be found to the northwest of the property, and it's approximately 4,000 linear feet away. The community mixed use 12 and the suburban mixed use 6 is also found to the southeast, and there is no residential 2 nearby. So the applicant is proposing a future land use change from residential 1 to residential 2. Now, residential 1 will give you approximately 10 dwelling units to the acre, and it would also give you 0.25 FAR. Under the residential 2, the FAR does not change. It stays 0.25, but it does increase the residential density to 20 dwelling units on the property, which is 2 dwelling units an acre. So we're currently still reviewing the application and the request, and we're waiting for more agency comments. But the next steps are, you'll have your public hearing on October 10th, and then it'll go before the Board of County Commissioners on October 13th. Now we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this item from the commissioners? Not seeing any lights. We'll thank you for the information presentation, and we'll move on to our next item. And this is 4D Hccpa 22-12 Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment, Capital Improvement Section Update, and it's Diego Guerra.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Diego Guerra, Planning Commission staff. My apologies, I'm dual hatting at the moment. So, again, I'm Diego Guerra, Planning Commission staff. This will be my presentation on Hillsborough County's Comprehensive Plan 22-12, the capital improvement section update to the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. This is not an action item. This is a briefing, and this will come before you again at November's public hearing. The capital improvement section is part of the final phase of the overall comprehensive plan update. It's part of the governance chapter as depicted on the graphic to the right. The current context includes language on levels of service, financial feasibility, needed public facilities and improvements, coordinating capital improvements with land development, coastal hazard area, inform public of capital improvement planning, schools, and support transportation improvements. This slide provides the proposed updated goal and associated objectives of the new section update. The objective topics in bold are areas of substantive revision, and I'll discuss objectives 1 and 2 further in my next few slides. Objective 5, this is specific to language to the coastal hazard area. That language was adopted with the adoption of the coastal management section. That language was adopted into the currently adopted element. However, we are further refining some of that language as well. We are also adding language that discusses equitable distribution of capital improvements within the county. We did work on the update with county staff who assisted in the review and refinement of the language to ensure that previous 9J5 language and regulatory language currently found in the adopted element were properly addressed. So one of the substantive changes of the objectives that I mentioned earlier relates to levels of service, but also to the terminology specific to that. It's also the terminology. Currently adopted in the capital improvement section, the terminology relates, discusses 3 categories of levels of service, and they are A, B, and C. The new terms move from this terminology to a more direct and easily understood terminology. So for the former category A facilities, we have renamed the adopted levels of service. These are the levels of service that are specific to public facilities and must meet concurrency. And we worked with county staff to update those levels of service as well. For solid waste, we didn't update solid waste. That level of service was updated in May with the adoption of the solid waste management section. There was no change to wastewater. For stormwater, we updated some language that focuses, that adds language to target flood levels of service. Potable water, a language specific to pressure within the transmission mains was added. And for parks and recreation, we updated the levels of service so that they are consistent and analogous to the recent impact fee study that they had concluded. The proposed terminology for target levels of service currently addressed in the element as Category B facilities are for planning purposes only and focus on mobility and discuss county roads, flooding, and multimodal language. And that section would also include the non-adopted maps as well. And I'll also include the target level of service a little bit further on the next slide. Additionally, this level of service is not regulatory in nature. The proposed terminology for Category C facilities, which we are proposing for it to be public schools levels of service. There's no proposed change to that level of service, and there is no change to that language regarding that level of service, just the terminology of public schools levels of service. So for mobility-related language, as I discussed, we're moving from the Category B terminology to the target level of service. There's no change to the intent with mobility policies and targets intended for planning purposes to assist staff in identifying problem areas. We did work with the TPO, who also worked with county staff to propose the addition of multimodal levels of service, target measures in policy and in non-adopted maps, which illustrate the following conditions. For vehicular levels of service, that was and is currently adopted in the element. The section just provides some updates to that particular level of service. For transit level of service, that level of service was adopted and became effective with the adoption of the mobility section. So really the only two new sections that are new are the bicycle and pedestrian levels of service within the section. The multimodal level of service allows county staff to look at the existing conditions and plan for future improvements for mobility options. The level of service refers to ratings based on speed, convenience, and safety of the road for the various users. Also, finally, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to add that the TPO and county staff are in the final stages of developing travel time reliability measures. Travel time reliability measures, which if completed prior to early November, will be included as part of this amendment to move forward and be brought forward to you in November public hearing. But if that work is not completed by early November, it will be presented and brought forward to you at a later date as a separate amendment to the section. This section, this slide just depicts the timeline of the plan amendment. We did hold our public outreach early August, and we'll be briefing the Board of County Commissioners here in a couple days as well. Public comment on the plan amendment does close 1 October. And as I just mentioned, we'll be bringing this back to you for the public hearing on 7 November, with the BOCC transmittal public hearing currently scheduled for 15 December. Should Board of County Commissioners choose to transmit at that time, we expect the plan amendment to become adopted and effective sometime in early 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, just like the updates to our previous sections and chapters of the unincorporated comprehensive plan, there is a project page that discusses the update. The link can be found on the slide. We also provide a QR code on the lower right of the slide should you want to access that. Now, the project page, you can find the draft language, the non-adopted maps. You can also view and compare the currently proposed language and the currently adopted language in the comparative crosswalks found under the resources section at the bottom of the project page. And again, the public comment period does run through 1 October. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the points of contact should you have any questions after my presentation. This does conclude my presentation. We do have county staff that are available for any questions you may have particular to the various program areas online and available to answer those specific questions as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners on this item? Diego, I did have a general question for you, and I'll email you more to dig more into this item. Level of service at best is a spurious measure. Even FDOT itself is moving away from level of service, hence context classifications and things like that. It seems to me that our county, putting all its eggs in the basket of level of services, adding new pedestrian, adding new bicycle level of services, I'm not even sure what they did to the vehicle level of services. It seems questionable at best, especially when the state transportation department is moving away from level of service. So did you have any thoughts? Has there been any discussion towards that in these meetings, or thought in that general direction? Or?
That's a good question, sir. We do have TPO representatives that are able to answer that better than I can.
I'm not TPO staff. I'm Katrina Corcoran, Planning Commission staff, but I'd like to go ahead and take a stab at that question. So for vehicular LOS, you were asking about what was changed there. The vehicular LOS standards will remain in the plan. The MMLOS is an additional measure for this update. The change that we had with the vehicular LOS is that the target VLOS for collectors has been removed, and this is because concurrency is no longer being required statewide. And additionally, that VLOS could be used to justify road widening, which on collectors is not likely to be financially feasible and generally has a lot of community opposition for collector roads. For the bike and PED, the new multimodal level of service measures, it's in line with the mobility section to establish and maintain those multimodal levels. And it helps to see the existing conditions for bike and walk facilities. And I think generally we are moving towards things like travel time reliability, but as Diego mentioned, that's not quite ready yet at this time. It could be included in this update if TPO staff are ready to move forward with that, but it will be something to consider for future updates.
Thank you. You kind of make my point about the LOS with some of the things that you mentioned. I still find it unfortunate. Again, I'll email you and we'll talk about these things in more detail, but I find it unfortunate that we're, again, putting all our eggs in this basket of LOS when clearly LOS is not, again, even by the State Department of Transportation, the way we're going forward, in the future. So, but again, I'll email you and try to get some more information on these things. Did any more commissioners have any comments or questions of this item at this point in time? Not seeing any. Well, thank you for the information, and we will move on to our next item of business. We have 4D Hccpa 22-12. Oh, no, wrong one. 4E Hccpa 22-14, Corridor Preservation Map Text Change, and the presenter is Wade Reynolds.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioners. Wade Reynolds, Plan Hillsborough staff. I'll wait for this to come up for a moment. There it is. So, Wade Reynolds, Plan Hillsborough staff. This is a text amendment to the Corridor Preservation Plan map. So we are calling it a text amendment to differentiate it from future land use map amendments. This is a privately initiated amendment to remove the Lacey Road extension from the Corridor Preservation map, or a portion of the Lacey Road extension. As you can see in the bottom of this map, this is the entire Corridor Preservation Plan map. The red box shows the area location. This is just south of Apollo Beach, Paseo Almar Boulevard, and just north of 19th Avenue in Ruskin, or about halfway in between those two. The red arrow there points to the portion of the Lacey Road extension proposed to be deleted. It connects from US 41 to Waterset Boulevard is the other blue line that it connects to. Paseo Almar and 19th are noted there for your knowledge. Again, the existing Lacey Road on the west side of US 41. Then you have a break, CSX tracks, and then the Lacey Road extension for proposed for removal with this amendment. A little background on this. The Corridor Preservation Plan is designed to preserve right-of-way to accommodate future growth. The map does not itself require the construction of roadways, but it sets specific right-of-way widths to be preserved as adjacent land develops. In this case, land for a 4-lane roadway. The DRI for Waterset requires construction of a 2-lane roadway at this location, but the map preserves right-of-way for up to 4 lanes. The applicant's justification, in 2013, there was an agreement between Hillsborough County and CSX, as well as the watershed developer, that requires Lacey Road to be grade separated from the CSX tracks. In fact, any other crossing of the CSX tracks between Apollo Beach Boulevard and 19th Avenue would have to be grade separated. The agreement also provided for, I believe, 2 other crossings to be removed, including Tomato Stake Road just to the north of this. The applicant also states that the expense of the overpass construction and projected volumes on this roadway do not justify its construction. So pretty basic. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on this.
Thank you. Were there any questions or comments, discussions of this item, commissioners? Not seeing any, we'll thank you for the information and move on to our next item.
Thank you.
We have 4F, Hccpa 22-15, Gopher Tortoise Habitat, and the presenter is Sean College.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Sean College with Planning Commission staff. Bringing up the PowerPoint presentation. And if HTV could share that, that'd be great. This is Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan Amendment 22-15. This is a briefing. It is entitled Gopher Tortoise Habitat. Gopher tortoises, these are not turtles, these are tortoises that live in a more drier upland area in Florida and the southeastern United States. They build extensive burrows, which is one of the very critical things about this species. And these burrows provide shelter for 350 different other species that live and utilize these burrows. So they're very important to the ecology of Florida. They can live for 60 years and they don't mature for 16 years. So it's a very important species and they provide a great deal of ecological benefit. That being said, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners has initiated or requested of their staff some land development code changes to enhance protection of gopher tortoises and their habitat. They've also asked us, the Planning Commission, to look at enhancing the comprehensive plan policy with regard to gopher tortoise and other listed species habitat as a complementary in support of these land development code changes. You'll likely see those land development code changes likely next month from the county staff. The BOCC requested this on June 6th and further clarified what they were requesting on July 26th. We've been following this and developing these plan amendments and also working with county staff to develop this to make sure it worked appropriately with what they want to do with the land development code. What we find is in the existing comprehensive plan, there actually is already a robust policy section or robust policy on listed species habitat and significant wildlife habitat, but we were looking to see how we could enhance that. And what we came up with was 3 plan amendments, 3 policy amendments. The first one would address a density bonus. When you're preserving significant or essential habitat, you could transfer your density. The second one would address techniques for preservation of significant and essential wildlife habitat, such as clustering. And finally, the third policy suggested or proposed would address how, in support of protecting significant and essential wildlife habitat, there could be overall density and lot size changes or changes to the character of a proposed development in the process of protecting these habitats. That is what we have proposed now, and I'm available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Were there any questions, comments from the, yes, Commissioner Handy.
Sean, regarding the essential and significant wildlife habitat definitions, the last time that you worked on that environmental element and updating it, and maybe it's changed, and maybe that's one of the things coming up with LDC, but it was really out of date. Is that being revisited?
We did update the conservation aquifer recharge element, now called environment and sustainability, last year, earlier this year, and I mean, yes, it was significantly updated.
No, but it also refers to the significant and essential wildlife habitat and the definition of the essential and significant is maybe not still, but at the time it was very outdated.
Okay,
So,
Yeah, I'm ringing a bell that we talked about this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we addressed that as part of the update, but I can double check certainly and get back to you.
Okay, well, since this is tied to that, I would, it might be time to do so if it hasn't been already, but yeah, I haven't looked at it since about a year ago when we did that.
I'll go back and look at those definitions and I can get with you if I see anything that needs to be addressed.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions or comments from the commissioners? Sean, I did have a light question for you. I think you did a great job. I remember years back when we went through this Gopher Tortoise thing and we had the state come in and speak to us on it. The land development code that you mentioned isn't tied to this because you said that we'd be getting those sorts of comments from the county possibly next month whenever they get done with that. These aren't being brought together at the same time as the same thing. These are policy things we're looking at here dealing with the comprehensive plan, right? Not land development code issues.
Well, we are working in parallel on them, and I've been coordinating. I know what the BSCC was very specific in directing to their staff what they wanted to see done in the land development code.
Okay.
And I have that information, and I summarized it a little bit in your packet, but it's not what we're doing, so I didn't go into it. So we are aware of it, and that's how we made sure we looked at the comprehensive plan in that context, just to make sure that what the BSCC wanted to do is fully supported in the comprehensive plan. And so they are going in parallel, and and this language has been shared with county staff who are working on the land development code to make sure it meets the needs of what they want to do and has support for what they want to do, and they have responded that it does.
Right, okay. And my second question for you, and I'm sure we have, but as this goes forward, and this might be more important as this goes forward, but can we just make sure that this thing doesn't fall afoul of the property rights element and all that stuff going on in there when we start to reduce things and things like that? We've had a lot of things bump into that in these past few months ever since that thing went through. So I just always like to be cognizant that we're not, heading in directions that are going to run us into trouble with that. So I just recommend you keep that in mind as you go forward. Not that you don't have it in mind already, not that we don't all do.
Yes, sir, that's a good observation.
Thank you. Were there any more questions or comments on this? Yes, Commissioner Kress.
It's a little off topic, but I remember when I first moved here, it seemed like construction sites could just bury them alive. And I'm curious if that kind of tail end of it has come up in conversation with the BOCC or elsewhere, kind of what the status is, if you know.
To my understanding, and this is permitting at the state level, where the context of what you're describing is called an incidental take permit. And there are situations where it might not be feasible or warranted to relocate gopher tortoises. Sometimes there are limitations on a site where you can put them. Sometimes there are concerns about transmitting diseases amongst populations. It's my understanding that the state might still issue on appropriate occasions such a permit. Again, it's a state permit. The county, it does not do that, does not permit these types of takings. But it's something that has to be addressed at the state level.
Commissioner Handy.
Yep, if I could just comment on that. From what I know about this, it was brought about because there were situations in other counties where development proceeded without those appropriate state permits. And this was the board's way of trying to prevent that from happening here in Hillsborough County. So making sure that the developers are going through the proper channels and starting at the local level so that, those policies would be implemented starting here. So, but yeah, Sean's correct about that typically you are required to relocate tortoises out of harm's way, and that requires a state permit.
Yes, and just to add on to that, absolutely correct, and add on to that, I believe, again, some of the details you'll see probably next month in the LDC, as was mentioned, will revolve around penalties and surveys in an effort to try to avoid that.
I also had another question, Sean, for you, leading off of theirs. At the time in the past when we did have the state come in and talk to us about the gopher tortoise issue, we had found out that there was big pressures on the program or whatever where you get to move them around, or the locations that you could move them to off of your land to have them stored within Hillsborough County were filled up at the time. Have we gone back and looked at that since you've been tasked to do this? Have we gone back and maybe thought about out-of-the-box ways of places to put them and move them to or things like that? Because I remember that was a big, this was like 3-4 years ago we had those talks and we were already filling up at that point. So we got to be like maxed out by now. I'm wondering,
Yeah, I don't have the latest information on that, but it's something we might be able to look into.
And I believe as part of the same agenda item, the board authorized one of the ELAT properties to be utilized for Gopher tortoise mitigation so that they could be moved there. And then authorize that the ELAT program look for some other sites within their inventory for that same purpose.
Okay. Yeah, that might be something to look into, just bringing up the point again to the Board of County Commissioners, just because I remember that was a pretty big way that they helped to save the gopher tortoises and not have things like what they mentioned happen, being able to grab them and move them quickly within county. So, all right. Are there any more questions or comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. Well, thank you for the information, and we'll move on to our next item. 4G, Hccpa 22-16B, Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment, Potable Water Well Field Protection Areas, and the presenter is Melissa Dickens.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Melissa Dickens, Planning Commission staff. I'm just waiting for the presentation to pull up here. Okay, I do have it on the screen. If HTV could broadcast it, thank you. Again, Melissa Dickens, Planning Commission staff. This item is Hccpa 2216B. This is a proposed text amendment to the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, and this is a briefing this afternoon. No action is required. Some background and history on the potable water well field protection area. This protection area was developed back in the early aughts and incorporated into the comprehensive plan. It identifies a 500-foot radial setback from wells that are serving a minimum number of year-round users. That's consistent terminology with the state definition and also the county's land development code. In 2020, as part of our updates to develop the One Water chapter, the map was not modified. It was simply moved and readopted into that new chapter in the comprehensive plan. And One Water contains general provisions related to the overall protection of groundwater, wellheads, and well fields. The specifics of those regulations are implemented in the Land Development Code. The definitions section within the comprehensive plan provides an overall purpose for the regulation, describes the regulation, and also where the map is found. And so some background on the amendment this afternoon. This amendment is publicly initiated. It was initiated by Hillsborough County staff. The amendment proposes to remove the potable water wellfield protection area map from the comprehensive plan and edit the corresponding definition. It does not remove or alter the regulation or the regulatory impact. Due to the frequency of the data changes and the map scale, which you'll see on the following slides, it's reported that continually amending this map within the comprehensive plan is ineffective. There are a number of maps, they change very a number of wellheads, they change very frequently. It's also at a scale that it's difficult to tell where the parcels fall. Additionally, FDEP, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, maintains a database that is updated very frequently, routinely, that contains the relevant wells and the corresponding buffer areas. This information is available electronically. It's something that can be utilized when reviewing the relevant applications, and it's what county staff relies upon to ensure that they are implementing the Land Development Code appropriately. And so you can see the current map on the screen, the scale and the number of wells. The proposed map would remove, the proposed change would remove this map from the comprehensive plan. There's also a corresponding change to the definitions section that is being proposed, and the definition is being modified to remove the portion about showing it being adopted on a map as part of the comprehensive plan, and rather as maintained and updated by FDEP. And this concludes my formal presentation this afternoon. I am available if there are any questions, and we also have county staff here if there are any questions for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any at this time. Well, thank you for the information. We'll move on to our next item. Hccpa 22-17 West Hillsborough Avenue and Racetrack Road, and the presenter is Jillian Massey.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jillian Massey with your Planning Commission staff. If HTV could share my screen. This afternoon, I will be briefing you on Hccpa 22-17, which is West Hillsborough Avenue and Racetrack Road. This is a general location of where the plan amendment is in the westernmost side of unincorporated county, on West Hillsborough Avenue and east of Racetrack Road. And this is part of the July 2022 cycle of plan amendments. This is an aerial photo of the site. As you can see, it's outlined in red on the north side of West Hillsborough Avenue. Directly to the west is classified as heavy industrial with a storage building on it, and the parcel to the east is classified as vacant commercial land. The subject site is mainly surrounded by other light commercial and light industrial uses to the north, east, and west on that same side of West Hillsborough Avenue, as well as some agricultural, mobile home parks, and single-family developments on the south side of West Hillsborough Avenue. Some background on this map amendment: it's privately initiated, and the site is located on approximately 4.56 acres. It's located in the urban service area and within the limits of the Northwest Hillsborough and Town and Country community plans. And if you could please note that this site is located entirely in the coastal high hazard area. This is the adopted future land use map for the subject site, which is currently designated as light industrial. There is one parcel directly to the west that's designated as Regional Mixed Use 35. However, surrounding the site along the north side of West Hillsborough Avenue corridor is mainly designated as light industrial. Along West Hillsborough Avenue to the south is designated as Office Commercial 20. Further away from the site, both to the north and south, is designated as Residential 4. The proposal before you is to change the subject site from light industrial to Regional Mixed Use 35. Which allows residential, regional scale retail, commercial, office and business park uses, research corporate park uses, and light industrial uses. This slide outlines the potential impacts of the proposed map amendment. The amendment would allow for an increase in residential density and an increase in commercial intensity. As you can see from this table, there's currently no residential permitted. The proposed amendment would allow for consideration of 159 dwelling units. And currently, as the light industrial category, approximately 148,975 square feet of non-residential development could be considered. The change would allow for consideration of up to 397,267 square feet. This concludes my briefing, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners on this item? Commissioner Cardenas?
Did we vote on this one in the past? This is the second time around? Did they change it?
This is a separate application. This applicant previously came before you with the parcel immediately west of it and this one with the proposal to go to Residential 35. This time, they're proposing just this parcel here to regional mixed use 35.
Any more questions on this one from the commissioners? Not seeing any. We'll thank you for the presentation
Sure.
and move on. All right, next up is item 4I, unincorporated county land development code, LDC amendments. I guess we'll go through each of them. I1 is LDC 22-1113, land use hearing officer, and the presenter is Tom Hisney.
Commissioners, if you don't mind, I'll just introduce all of the items.
Sure.
On behalf of the Planning Commission staff. Again, this is Jillian Massey. We have Israel Mancento to present on behalf of Tom Hisney from the county, and I believe that he is online. If HTV could share this presentation.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon again. My name is Israel Monsanto, Hillsborough County Development Services, on behalf of the Development Services Department and Tom Hisney. Today, you're going to see the items that will be part of the round 2 of 2022 Land Development Code text amendments. The next meeting or hearing that we will have for this round will be a public outreach meeting. It will be a workshop for the Board of County Commissioners on September 14th. After that, next week, we'll have a public outreach meeting on September 20th, which will present for public input the proposed text amendments. The first public hearing in front of the Commissioners, Board of County Commissioners, will be on September 29th. That will then take these text amendments to Planning Commission consistency finding meeting on October 10th. And finally, it will go to the second public hearing or the adoption hearing in front of the Board of County Commissioners on October 20th. Next slide, please. We are presenting here, you're seeing 3 items in front of you right now. However, item LDC 22-1114 is being removed from the round 2 of 2022 land development text code amendment. So today I'm gonna speak of the 22-1113 rezoning and land use meeting procedures, and Planning Commission staff will talk about the LDC 22-11115 affordable housing development standards, which is related to a comprehensive plan amendment. The first item that you have in front of you, Commissioners, is item 22-113, rezoning and land use meeting procedures. This text amendment was directed by the Board of County Commissioners, and its purpose is to modify the rezoning and land use meeting procedures, including providing for a more expansive record for board consideration and for revised duties and responsibility of the land use hearing officers. This amendment will maintain the zoning hearing master process with established criteria for consent agenda items and provide that the BOCC or Board of County Commissioners would hear applications not meeting the criteria for consent agenda. It will also provide for an open period between the zoning hearing master hearing and the Board of County Commissioners consideration, whereby the record may be supplemented through the submission of additional written documentary materials prior to consideration of the Board of County Commissioners. Other changes would include the role and qualifications of the land use hearing officer, which will render a report recommending the board to approve or deny an application and to provide the basis of such recommendations. It will also include timing of open record period, which would allow any evidence of testimony to be submitted into the record subsequent to the hearing before the land use hearing officer, in accordance with the requirements of the code up to the time of action on the applications by the Board of County Commissioners. And it will also provide for restrictions on the land use hearing officer presentation. And if you want, I'm available if you have any questions for this item.
Thank you. Were there any questions from the commissioners on this item? First one, LDC 22-1113. Nope, not seeing any. We'll ask you to move on to the next one.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And this text amendment is 22-1115, which is the Affordable Housing Development Update. And this is implementing the affordable housing development on the comprehensive plan. I believe that there is staff from the Planning Commission to speak about this one.
Yes, hello, this is Alvaro Gabaldon, Planning Commission staff. Thanks, Israel,
for the intro. This LDC text amendment, as Israel mentioned, is part of round 2 of amendments in this the schedule. So this amendment was drafted and updated in concert with the updates to the comprehensive plan policies that are in the housing section update that this commission found consistent on August 8th. There's no action to be taken today. This is just a briefing. The language is attached in your packet. Some highlights of the changes that are happening include lengthening the affordability period of units created with the bonus and broadening the area median income range that the bonus units are set aside for. As Israel mentioned, this LDC amendment will be going to a virtual public hearing and then to the BOCC for their first public hearing on September 29th. It'll be coming back in front of this commission on October 10th. And that concludes my briefing, but I'm here as well as Jay Collins and Israel for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on this item from the commissioners? Not seeing any. We'll thank you all for the information, and we will move on to our next item of business. And that is 4J, Plan Hillsborough Strategic Plan Implementation Status Update, and the presenter is Katrina Corcoran.
Good afternoon. Just pulling up my presentation. It doesn't access the L podium. One moment. One moment. I can give it without the presentation, or do you just want to wait a couple minutes?
We can wait a couple moments.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Okay, yeah, I guess we could do that. We'll let the executive director do her report, and then we'll come back to you, if you don't mind.
I don't have any technology, so that's easy. Melissa Zornita, Executive Director. At your seats are copies of the Executive Director's report, which outlines a number of the activities that I or other staff have conducted over the last month. A couple of things I wanted to highlight, as was mentioned in that last Land Development Code item at the August 11th public hearing, the Board of County Commissioners did transmit the housing element. There was quite a bit of discussion about the affordable housing density bonus and the income ranges that would be in that. So we're still continuing to work with county staff on that prior to its adoption in October, which the Land Development Code will meet up with. On August 30th, we had the Planning and Design Awards Jury Conference. There was a lot of great entries this year, and the jury made some fabulous selections. The awards will be on October 27th. I hope you all have your calendars marked for that. And then last week on September 8th, the Board of County Commissioners at their regular meeting asked for a follow-up presentation on some review we had done in conjunction with the county's Community and Infrastructure Planning Group on the Palm River Community Plan. As part of that, there was an audit done on how well that plan has been implemented. The Board of County Commissioners requested that the Planning Commission lead an update of the Palm River Community Plan, which is something that we had been anticipating and allocated time in our FY '23 and '24 work program to do. A couple of information items at the bottom of the page. One, as you are seeing at this agenda, there's a large number of plan amendments. We're getting a large number of land development code items. We have a record number of Tampa plan amendments next month. I think it's 10, and another 10 or 11 land development code items that the city wants to have before you before the end of the year. So we are trying to juggle the workload and try to make your meetings as efficient as possible. So as part of that, I've sort of been looking at all of the things that we do. At some point in the last 5 to 7 years, we started adding in the briefings on the land development code items, what you just heard for the county. I have noticed over the last year or so that those have not garnered the same level of discussion as perhaps the plan amendments have. And so one of the questions that the team, had was whether or not a briefing and then the following month, the consistency finding on the land development code items was something you all saw advantageous. And if you did, there still may be the opportunity for us to streamline the materials that come to you so that staff doesn't have to put quite so much time into putting together briefing packets. So I wanted to get some feedback from you all on whether you saw those briefings on the code amendments as helpful. Okay, I'm seeing nods. Okay. All right, great. We'll keep them. You may see some streamlining of the materials that comes to you, just as a way to try to minimize some of the staff time that's being put into month after month. The next thing I wanted to give you a heads up about is Sean and I had the opportunity to talk about follow-up to the Coastal High Hazard Area Workshop, which was a great discussion with you all. We found that to be really engaging, and we have two potential areas we'd like to follow up. So we're kind of turning this into a series of workshops if you all are game for it. We were talking about in November having some folks from the state come and talk about the modeling that they utilize for the evacuation and developing the coastal high hazard area. And then looking at in January, taking a field trip to the Emergency Management Operations Center that the county has. They would offer us a tour as well as to talk to us about some of how they plan for evacuating people and some of the practical logistics that go into that. So wanted to see if you all were interested in both of those topics, and then if so, there will probably be a poll coming out about a November date for that first workshop. Good? Okay, great. Well, thank you.
I had a question for you.
Absolutely.
Before you run away.
Oh, sure.
What you might have mentioned it, and I might have been zoned out. Age-friendly Hillsborough meeting. I just saw that. What was that?
Yeah, there was a request by a member of the Hillsborough County Council on Aging. One of their members is a planner, and he reached out to some of our team about whether or not the Planning Commission would be able to support Hillsborough County becoming an age-friendly community. It's a designation that AARP has. They have certain requirements to become an age-friendly community, and then you're required to develop a plan, which, we're naturally good at doing a plan. But then you have to follow up with implementing some of those plans. So we agreed to meet with him and the Director of Aging Services for Hillsborough County to explore that idea. It's something that the county, while interested in, is, I think it's fair to say, apprehensive about what it will entail in terms of implementation once they embark upon that. Because once you start down that road, there's, now a laundry list of things you need to do. So what we offered to do was to do an initial assessment of what resources we thought it would take to become an age-friendly community, and we're going to meet back with Aging Services in the next month or so. But at this point, we have not committed to doing anything beyond doing kind of an initial assessment from a objective standpoint of what it would take.
Interesting. All right. And I have one more question,
Sure.
but it's not for you. It's about an item that's on here because I see Ms. Dickinson here. So I'm going to have her come up. And I saw you present at Cafe Con Tampa, and you did a very excellent job because that's what I do in my spare time. I stalk the staff, make sure they're doing the right things. And it was a very good presentation. I really liked the way you represented the agency and spoke about our connection to what's going on in Tampa and the update of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan. But my question for you is, because the video gets cut as soon as you get done talking, what was the engagement in the room like afterwards? Were there a lot of questions and a lot of discussion after that?
Yeah, it was very robust.
Okay.
There was a lot of good discussion. I mean, it really ranged from people who knew a lot about the comprehensive plan, neighborhood activists, and then also people who were there for the first time, who were learning about comprehensive planning and what it was. So we actually ran out of time to answer all the questions. And so they mentioned they might like to have us back as we start moving toward the more substantive portions of the comprehensive plan update. But it was really good discussion and just good to see so many people interested and excited about planning.
Yeah, it was a good presentation. I was almost there, but I got busy that day, so I couldn't come down there. So I almost popped up on you. Thank you for the information. And that's it for me. I mean, does anybody else have any questions or comments for Ms. Ornita? Nope. All right. All right. Oh, I forgot. We're getting back to the previous item. So we're going back to 4J, Plan Hillsborough Strategic Plan, Implementation and Status Update. And it's a briefing by Katrina Corcoran. Presented by Katrina Corcoran.
Hopefully figured out our technical
Hopefully.
issues. If not, I can present without the presentation. But.
Okay. There we go.
All right, finally. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Katrina Corcoran, Planning Commission staff. I'm here today to present the 2018-2023 Plan Hillsborough Strategic Plan Implementation Status Update. This is a briefing and no action is required. Next slide, please. So the strategic plan outlines the strategic direction and near-term objectives for Plan Hillsborough. As you can see on the slide, there's a link to that plan on our website. And today's presentation focuses on 6-month highlights. We'd also like to note what's next. So our full annual reporting, our 2022 annual report, will be available in early 2023. And our strategic plan update for a new time horizon, so 2023 through 2028, believe it or not, will be available in late, or we'll start working on that in late 2023. Next slide, please. This slide shows you the 7 main components of our current strategic plan. I'll be going over each of these components in more detail with 6-month project updates on the next few slides. Next slide, please. So to start off, we have linking land use and transportation. The intent of this area is to establish new ways to connect planning for mobility and place. Some of our projects include the Fowler Avenue Study Kickoff, which will evaluate land use, transportation, and community characteristics to create a comprehensive vision for the future of the corridor. That scope was improved in July, and the project will be kicked off later this month. We also have the Plant City Mixed Use Gateway Plan Amendments and Regulations. The intent of this is to support economic development, promote transportation efficiency, and provide a specific location for mixing of uses. This was found consistent by the Planning Commission and the Plant City Planning Board in August, with adoption expected before the end of 2022. Next slide, please. Next up, we have community engagement. The intent is to strengthen community engagement in the planning process. Our projects include the 1 Minute Matters videos being converted into Spanish, This is actually quite an intensive exercise. You have to translate the document and then have new voiceovers. We also have the FLIP and FLIP Junior programs. FLIP returned after a 2-year break due to the pandemic, and FLIP Junior offered expanded presentations and outreach for younger children. It also won an award of excellence from APA Florida last week. Finally, we have the Tampa Comprehensive Plan Vision Update. This is a joint Planning Commission and City of Tampa project and collected over 700 surveys with 1,500 comments about the most important issues and planning ideas that the community has in mind for its future. It will also help the further Tampa Comprehensive Plan update as that's being worked on. Next slide, please. Next, we have opportunities for regional collaboration. The intent here is to enhance effectiveness in advancing regional priorities and interjurisdictional collaboration. We have the water supply facility work plans, which all jurisdictions updated within the 18-month requirement. We also have the Regional Resilience Coalition Action Plan. Our staff has spent the last year being a part of various working groups, providing guidance on an initial draft of that action plan. Next slide, please. Next up, we have planning partnerships. The intent is to enhance existing relationships while developing new collaborations. So we've partnered with Hillsborough County, as you've seen on the comprehensive plan updates during this past year, 2022, including property rights, intergovernmental coordination, and housing, which will be adopted in October. We also partnered with the City of Tampa on a cemetery land use research report, where we researched the possibility of creating a cemetery future land use designation. Finally, we have ongoing USF Masters in Urban Regional Planning program coordination. We currently have 3 graduate and student fellowships from that program, and we enjoy continued collaboration with the USF MERP program. Next slide, please. Next up, we have enabling transportation choices. The intent is to leverage existing transportation infrastructure and identify new ways to help fund transportation investments. Here we have TIP updates, so the Transportation Improvement Update, or TIP, or program. In addition to typical amendments to the TIP, we've had expanded noticing and public participation information to ensure maximum exposure and available information for the public. We also have the NASA Air Taxi Siting Tool. So NASA has developed a patent-pending planning GIS-based tool to help local communities site locations for air taxis. So we've continued outreach and presentations on that as well. Next slide, please. Next up, we have technology and innovation. The intent is to enhance efficiency, increase education, and strengthen interaction with the public. We have our online plan amendment applications. So that's available on our website and modernizing application forms for applicants. We also have our digital library update. So we've established a digital library partnership with the Hillsborough County Public Library Cooperative for our library collection. Next slide, please. Finally, we have internal agency enhancements. Our intent here is to continue to grow as an agency and address feedback on internal areas of opportunity. We have continued diversity enhancements, including trainings, updated contract language, online comment card updates, and Spanish translation availability. We also have a new emerging leaders platform that was offered to select staff to complete online modules and in-person check-ins, and will continue to be offered to more staff as it becomes developed. And finally, we have continued cross-team collaboration. Specifically, our public engagement staff has been embedded on specific planning teams to help communicate our projects to the public in a better way. Next slide, please. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my presentation on the 2018-2023 Plan Hillsborough Strategic Plan. Thank you for your patience with the technical difficulties. I really appreciate that. I did also want to remind you again that we'll be coming back in early 2023 for the 2022 annual report. Lots of good stuff. We're already prepping for that. Lots of great projects. And we will be coming back for the 2023-2028 strategic plan, planning for that new strategic plan later in 2023. So thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Were there any questions or comments from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any. We'll thank you for the information, and we will move on. I think that's it. All right. Actually, item number 6, other business, chair's business. I have none. Old business. Does anybody have any? Nope. New business? Yep, Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wanted to ask Melissa, since, let me make sure I phrase this the right way. When we are getting our studies done, do we have a requirement that they provide us with like data analysis? You know, is that a part of like the scope of work, or, because what I don't want to particularly care for is just like how we have the last presentation that I seem to kind of harp on, but I don't want that to be like a continual thing where we're not getting, or at least like, you know, findings of fact backed by data and analysis. So do we have that as a requirement whenever we, as planning commission, not, you know, in the county or in the municipalities, but just as our own internal?
Yeah, every scope of services is probably a little bit different, but I think as it relates to anything that we intend to have result in amendments to the comprehensive plan, we do ask for data analysis backing up the recommendations. So for example, when we worked in Waimama and in Balm, we even commissioned a whole separate study to provide the real estate market analysis that did data and analysis to back up both of those studies. So every situation's probably a little bit different in terms of what we as staff feel is needed, whether it's more geographic data, demographic data, real estate market analysis, or but probably a pretty standard component of almost every contract is a look at best practices, and what that was a part of that study, the commercial locational criteria. They had to go look at several other locations that we agreed mutually with them upon that were good examples of how they had handled commercial development to utilize as some component of their research. So, yeah.
Is there any more new business or any comments on that new business from any of the commissioners? No? All right, then we'll move on to our next item, committee reports. Are there, Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did not make the affordable housing, so I'm not sure if there's any staff that did, but I was not there today. Not sure what happened, probably nothing too significant to report, I guess. I did one with on the TPO meeting last month. The apportionment did come back up, and I was personally caught off guard by, you know, what it resulted, the end result, excuse me. And there was a motion, and essentially we now have, or we're going to have, I guess, at this upcoming board meeting on Wednesday, where 2 additional members of the BOCC will be on, you know, as voting membership as well. So that wasn't originally, I don't believe, was supposed to happen, but that is now, you know, a thing. So all of the current voting membership did not change, and that was a thing that was up in the air at one point. We were not going to have a voting member, and some of the other, like the port and everyone like that, it was just going to be elected officials only. But so what they did was they just added in, you know, those 2. So that was kind of the conclusion of that. And that's all I have.
I would just add to that I believe that each of the 4 local governments now have to agree
Correct,
to
yes.
that before it's final.
I forgot about that. Thank you.
Can I also ask if they gave any rationale, or did they just add 2, just ad hoc? It's for the people.
It was based on, I believe they were trying to base it on the population growth of the county, But I don't think that that was a full representation personally. I think that there should have been probably some other municipalities should have also had some additional representation there, like the city of Tampa. We didn't have a full board that day, and so the person that I believe introduced the motion did it very well and did it very smartly, and it was going to get passed.
Interesting. All right, thank you for the information. All right, were there any other committee reports? Commissioner Rodriguez, no?
On August 17th, there was a City of Tampa Affordable Housing Advisory Committee meeting. I was absent due to family illness, and the meeting minutes have not yet been published, so I don't have a report for it. The next meeting will be on 21 September. Thank you.
All right. Any more committee reports from anyone else? No, not seeing any at this time. Then we are done with all our items. So I will adjourn this meeting, and we will see everybody at 5:30 enough? Yeah, 5:30. All right, meeting adjourned.